Welcome to the Go UnPro podcast, a doctor's 52-week journey to an unprocessed life. Now, here is your host Dr. Brent W. Laartz, Associate Professor of Infectious Diseases and Internal Medicine, neuroscientist, and best-selling author.
All right, everyone. Welcome to week 14 of the Go UnPro podcast, a doctor's 52-week journey to an unprocessed life. Can't wait to get on with this. You can see the background here. It's Go UnPro. This is the virtual background. That's because the podcast studio here is under construction. And as you know, I've moved and we're getting this situation set up. I can't wait. All right, so July 4th was just happened. Holiday edition here at Go UnPro. July 4th is a huge holiday for drinking and eating. You have the hot dogs, the hamburgers, the barbecues. These barbecues are not so healthy sometimes, right? Because you're using all of your potato salads with all of your mayonnaise and with all of the ketchup and everything that's processed in this holiday. If there's a holiday after Christmas and Thanksgiving that you need a detox afterwards, getting rid of some of these ultra processed foods that you are eating, this is the one, right? So number 3 holiday probably for drunk driving, probably. I'm sure that there's some other ones too. But when I say detox, it's not the chemical one or the charcoal or other kinds of detox, any kind of supplement products other than the fiber potential supplements. This is getting back to the health situation right away on a Monday. Here's my Monday, getting back to it and love it. Love what we're doing here, getting the water, the fiber, back to some calorie restriction, low sugar diet, the Mediterranean diet. Here we are. Here we are back at it. Okay. This week, I'm going to try to be extra vigilant at that, right? So, and I discovered that it really is about who you hang out with during these holidays. Again, you discover this periodically in your life, right? So you spend some time with somebody and you realize, yeah, they're not so healthy, right? So some friends just are that way. And you ever spend some time with someone who just seems like they just need to get obliterated for a holiday? And certainly that is the situation for a lot of people around certain holidays, right? Around Christmas, around Thanksgiving. They have their family issues that could have made it that way, right? But there's some different reasons for it. And you get irritated, you get annoyed with them during that situation. I think it's best to try to not to get as irritated or annoyed, but it's also best to try to remove yourself from that situation after a certain time period. Okay, so granted, we have connection as our 4th pillar, right? So connection is important, being around some people. Who you choose to spend those holidays with is ultimately just as important as what you do during that holiday because it is that connection, right? So nice to get that connection to the holiday, connection to country, and we're all in this together, right? We are all this country and this world, we're all in this together. But the United States has a history, of democracy, history of everything we built this society upon. And that's where we're at with this, is that celebration, right? And in each one of these holidays, you can celebrate something that you enjoy about life. Now, obviously, there is some divisiveness of the world and of this country at this time, but there is so much great that is this country. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit this week about resistance training without a gym, because again, I just moved into this new house. I don't have a lick of exercise equipment in this house right now, still being set up, and how to do that, right? So I just moved from a condo that had a full gym, every single piece of equipment. I really only used like the dumbbells and maybe 3 or 4 machines, right? So there's a lot of machines that are unnecessary. Really only need certain muscle groups, right? And the more you do of each of these groups, a little bit of variety is important. But in other words, we're getting into this week something called body weight resistance training. Really, it's about the key is loading the muscle getting the reps in, isolating those muscles desired, and also prevention of injury. Because a little bit, when you are doing it this way and you don't have a machine that is defining your range of motion, there is a little bit of risk of injury. So the use of household items, if they're not balanced well, there's a risk of injury, right? So if you're trying to lift weight and you're having it here in your arms and is not balanced well, you have a risk of injury. So be very careful if you do any of this kind of things. For the legs, it's about loading on one leg, because if you're loading on both legs, you're just your body weight. If you do one leg, though, if you can do some exercises that are either lunges or the hops from side to side, that gets the balance. We've talked about that, getting the balance in. You can also use that heavy object to lift, or you could do the backpack thing that some people are doing. Really put some unnatural strain. All right, so all right, we're going to talk about that a little bit. This is going to be a relatively short podcast, week 14. For our diet this week, we're going to really get at our calorie restriction again. And we already do some intermittent fasting. We already do some time restricted feeding, but those only work if you stay calorie restricted. If you engorge yourself during the other times, I mean, on July 4th, if I didn't eat until noon or 2 o'clock and then engorge myself on all the food at that barbecue and on the beach, then doesn't do you any good, right? So hence the 80% rule. Okay, so there's some things that people in blue zones do that we in the modern world do not do anymore. Okay, and that is really, it's about taking the moderation. Okay, so if you are eating, you sit down to eat, and you have your family style meal, and you go for seconds. That's not calorie restriction. Okay. So it's the 80% rule. You eat until you are just start to get satisfied. You're 80% full. You're not engorged for sure, right? And that's what Americans do. They take those mashed potatoes, they take those um, casserole dishes, and they eat and they get seconds and they get thirds. Hey, maybe I do it too every once in a while, right? And I have done it in the past, that's for sure. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in this situation where I need to get myself into a schedule. And that's really important, is getting a routine schedule. Okay, so if you are thinking that a mint tea is good for you and you only do it once a month, that's not a schedule. That's not importing the rules. Okay, so nothing is a steadfast rule. Nothing is a hard fast rule. It is routine schedule. If you get off of it for a day or two, not a big deal. But here's what we're going to do this week. We went to the vegan restaurant a couple of weeks ago, and we're going to try to increase that to a fully vegan restaurant once a week, avoiding the processed food. So when you go to a vegan restaurant, and I talked about this several weeks ago after I went to Paris, because I went to a vegan restaurant in Paris, and every single meal, every single entree there had either fake meat or fake cheese in it. And to me, that's not vegan. Okay, so to me, that's not healthy vegan. So that's where we're at with this. We're going to increase our fermented foods again. We're going to use our Instapot to make some yogurt again. We're going to ferment some cucumbers and pickles this week and continue our food prepping on every Sunday. Every Sunday, I'm going to make myself a fermented cabbage of some sort, and a fermented pickle of some sort, and then also my fermented yogurts, my oat milk yogurts that I'm making. Experimenting with that. We'll explain that, and we'll get you some recipes in the near future. Those are my diet for this week. I am really getting back to it. Okay. So the next thing is movement. We talked about the resistance training without a gym, slowly building that gym at home. Over the year, this is going to be great for me because I was really not, I was really too dependent on a gym that I was going to. And if you can really, if your gym is $30, $80 a month, $100 a month, you can easily buy yourself some dumbbells and buy yourself a bench and buy yourself a piece of equipment that within 2 years is going to pay for itself. Okay. So then the other part about this week, as far as movement, is recovery days. Giving yourself those recovery days, but still walking some and getting some movement during those days, resting and taking it easy, but also getting out and walking easily. If you're can't because of some certain situation, get that day in. Either it's a recovery, an injury, or overdoing it, then give yourself that, but also continue to do some walking on that day. All right. So also sleep for our third pillar this week. Sleep. We're limiting naps, but some data shows that naps are good when short. Okay. So if you take too long of a nap that interrupts your ability to sleep that night, those are going to bite you the next night for your quality of sleep. Okay, so those recovery days where you're going to take maybe a nap and get your walking, still get that exercise of at least a walk and still get some activity that day, even if you're sick. And then here's what we're doing this week. We are going to limit our fluids at night, and we already limited our food intake at night within 2 hours of bedtime. Now we're going to limit our fluids. This doesn't mean limit fluids completely, but if you're going to drink that water, drink it right after dinner so that you won't be getting up at night. Men have these issues, waking up in the middle of the night and getting up to urinate, right? So that can interrupt the sleep. And if you are already having a relatively low amount of sleep, 7 hours, 6 hours, you want all of that quality. So very important to do that. We've talked about everything else we're doing. This is what we're doing this week. A very simple situation, right? So connection, creativity. This week we've started to eat at a fully vegan restaurant once per week, getting out into that community, trying to establish. And every vegan has a different reason for eating vegan. And certainly, if you're not of the animal welfare type of person who is not going to eat any animal products, period, it's a completely different type of vegan. And sometimes there's some animosity between that type of vegan and my type of vegan, which is for the health. And so I'm not a strict vegan, and people who are strict vegans, they really go at it against anything that is not vegan. And I just saw a comment at this vegan restaurant I'm going to go to this week, and saw a comment said, "This is not a vegan restaurant because they have some honey in in their um in their menu. So, that can't be vegan." And they, just blasting it, right? So just to have some common sense and have some compassion for people who might like the taste of honey, and it's not harming that much to eat honey, right? And it is, these honey beekeepers actually are helping to provide a stable situation in a beekeeping area. And you can say they're kept wrong or whatever that might be done. But my ex-wife is doing some beekeeping. All the more power to her to get some natural um, sugar sweetener in her life, right? So, um, and I'm also going to this next couple of weeks participate in something called a poetry night, where you can go to a place. It's a friendly place. It's a welcoming place to read your poetry, and that to me, what a great situation that is to foster that for the community. If you can find that, or if it's not in your community, found it yourself. Okay, so getting a sense of purpose, belonging, there at the poetry night, but also at the vegan restaurant if you can get to some place that is healthy. Okay, so that's all the more important. The last pillar, the fifth pillar, is plastics and processed items in our lives. And here we are moving into a new house. I have a lawn now. I didn't have that in the condo, right? But also this could be in your own situation at home in a condo even, right? So you don't have a lawn, but if you're in a condo, but I do now. And so weeds, right? So and I'm guilty of that, right? Using the Roundup in the past, I've used it, and hopefully it didn't cause me any harm. And hopefully I don't get lymphoma, as some people have said, is possible with using glyphosates. And learned this from a friend of mine using 45% vinegar. And so I bought some 45% vinegar. This is not the strength to use. This needs to be diluted down probably at least by 2/3 down to 15%. I used some 22.5%, in other words, just half, and it worked very well on the weeds this week. And that's the start of what we're doing. We're experimenting with that. And 45% vinegar is caustic. It affects metals. It affects skin. So the need to use gloves, and hey, boom, there's some plastic I'm putting on my gloves, right? But I'm a physician, so I use a lot of nitrile gloves. And so, obviously be careful. Use some mask, etc. Eye contact is a big danger with this, so you need to have some kind of eyewear that you use with this. Okay. Um, Fertilizers. I inherited basically this shed that has already some fertilizer in it that's got some weed and feed or whatever the brand name is of it. And we're going to try to get away from that. And we're going to get to this for weeds, natural pulling of weeds. Get down there. This is what the blue zones are about, right? Is physical labor. It's not about getting having your life without any labor. And this is what people in these blue zones do. They get down and dirty, they're gardening, they're actually doing this physical labor. If you have weeds in your lawn, I have weeds in my lawn right now. I'm pulling these weeds. If there's any areas that do not have some of the grass in it, if I had my druthers, I would have a waterless landscape, some turf that is plastic. I know that's potentially an issue, but is there any other xeriscaping that I could do? Could I get a more of a rock lawn or one of these xeriscape like they do in Arizona? Certainly, that is definitely a possibility. And so at some point, I'm going to get something like that, but there's just not quite yet. Okay, so um, what else? I inherited this lawn, so we're getting some insect killers that are either vinegar. You can use vinegar. You can use borax and sugar. You can use diatomaceous earth. I think in the past, I have had some problems at a past house that I had, and I was using some essential oils. You can use different oils for this purpose because insects, the one thing that they have an issue with is um, they have a shell, an exoskeleton. And if you put oil on that, it dissolves their exoskeleton and all the better. Okay. So with that said, we don't have to kill all of the insects. All insects are important, right? So they feed other animals and birds, etc. I do want to decrease the amount of mosquitoes. I do have, and I have had this for quite some time, an insect trap for mosquitoes, and it uses a pheromone that is given off. The other thing that I've used in the past is dishwasher and laundry tablets. I really love this brand. It's Tanit. There are others, but really do some research when you do, because there are some laundry sheets that actually have compounds like polyvinyl chloride. Polyvinyl chloride, it is right in the name, vinyl. Okay, so it is a forever chemical that is biodegradable, but it does have plastic that will be in the drains. Okay, so this brand actually has biodegradable ingredients. It doesn't have polyvinyl chloride. And let's see the ingredients here. This is the dishwasher tablets: sodium bicarbonate, citric acid, sodium percarbonate, trisodium, sodium gluconate, sodium cocoa sulfate. So that's part of a little bit of a processed oil product there, and some enzymes. Okay, so usually it's going to be some enzymes. There is a preservative tetraacetyl diamine. It's going to be a little bit of a processed chemical, right? But far better than a lot of your other chemicals that are in a lot of your laundry tablets and out there. So here again, almost the same in the laundry tablets. I find that it needs an extra wash cycle or extra rinse cycle potentially with these. We also got as a free product a natural deodorant. We're going to try this out. Doesn't have baking soda with it, and has some natural compounds for the deodorizing. Okay, so again, a recap. This is week 14. Thanks for joining us. Again, we have decreased our use of processed chemicals and processed foods and gotten our sleep into a better situation. We have gotten our morning light every morning, getting our mid-afternoon light, but not in the evening, getting it or red light at night, or darkening the screens, getting rid of some technology for a couple of hours of bedtime. In our diet, we have increased our berries, increased our greens, increased our antioxidants, and gotten rid of our fast foods, our sodas. We've moved to water daily, and our vitamin D, calcium, and our B12 and our omega-3 supplements supplement those things because we're more vegan now, we need certain supplements to replace what is lost in our decreased meat situations. Okay, so in addition to that, our mindfulness and our creativity, increasing that through art, through any kind of connection with our fellow human beings out there, our pets. Okay, so we've improved our microbiome by improving our fiber intake, improving our fermented foods and or our yogurts that we can use to improve that. Our microbiome improves every aspect of our life. From exercise, it improves our exercise, and our exercise improves our microbiome. It improves our diet because we are now getting these short chain fatty acids that our microbiome produces. That's fuel for our colonocytes and improves our colon health, but also improves our cardiovascular health. And we had a Sunday Science a little while ago talking about that. We have also improved and gotten rid of a lot of different processed items that have artificial sugars, artificial colors, artificial flavorings. We are now we started with vegan 1 day per week, and we're trying to get up to 3 days per week. By the end of the year, we will be up to somewhere between 3 and 6 days per week vegan. We use non-processed oils. Olive oil, especially virgin olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, and avocado oil that are cold pressed. If you're going to use seed oils, make sure that they are cold pressed and not processed. Okay, so tomatoes and or bell peppers daily, these red, purple, green, orange items in our diet. We have had the challenge of 40 different vegetables, beans, and our nuts and our fruits every week. Okay, so and preparing those foods ourselves and potentially growing some of those foods ourselves and getting out to, if you don't have a yard and if you don't have something like that, if you're living in a city, there are urban farms out there. Go search for them. We have one here in Tampa that I love to go to get some exposure to and volunteering in those. Okay, so look for that. Also, as far as connection, charity and giving and community and volunteering. Heading, as soon as this is finished, we're headed to a soup kitchen slash shelter that has women and families and kids that live here full time for now during a unstable situation. And we feed them, we make dessert for them every week because my girlfriend makes great desserts, and might be bad for me, but it's great for the community, getting some of these people some happiness. It is great, naturally made desserts, obviously. So we've decreased our alcohol. We've decreased our intake of other, let's see, other processed foods. And what else have we done? We're this week we're decreasing our fluids and within 2 hours of bedtime. But every morning I get my fiber and I get at least 32 ounces of water right at the beginning, and then take that stainless steel glass to work with me. Okay, so next part of this is the plastics, and we have gotten rid of all of our plastic in it. Not all of our, but we are going to by the end of the year. We have slowly but surely gotten rid of all of our plastics in our kitchen, in our bathrooms, in our closets. You can see here I'm wearing something that's polyester, I'm sure, but slowly but surely we're going to natural fibers. And we have stainless steel, we have glass, we have wood, different types of utensils in the household now, and this has gotten amazing results. Okay, so a recap here. Thank you for joining me every week. I hope that you can find what I'm doing useful in your own life. But again, this is not medical advice. This is not diet advice. I'm not a nutritionist. Seek your own nutritionist, seek your own physician, seek your own physical therapist, seek your own trainer for your exercise advice. Everybody's different. Everybody has different injuries for exercise. Everybody has different diet recommendations based on, again, N equals 1. The 1 equals 1. Everybody is different. So seek your own solutions. Okay. But follow me to see what I'm doing. Hopefully I can give you some ideas to take back and to modify for your own situation. Follow us on our podcast. Our podcasts are on gounpro.com. That's GOUNPRO.com. Go Unpro. Hence, go unprocessed, right? And follow us on YouTube. Our podcast is video on that gounpro.com. It's also video on YouTube. It's on video on YouTube Music. It's on video on Substack, Apple, and Spotify. Then also anywhere you get your audio podcasts, it's available as well. You can tell which one it's going to be. Our video podcasts have a blue label or a blue logo, blue artwork, and then the purplish kind of maroon podcast artwork is the audio podcast. And then follow us on social media: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, LinkedIn. Substack has its own kind of posts that you can do that's almost like social media, and it's really interesting. I love looking through my Substack feed because it really has a lot of healthy information out there. Okay. So, and obviously there can be some misinformation anytime you have health information out there, but it's great. I hope to see you there. Thank you very much. I love you guys. Love yourselves. I love myself, and this is why I'm doing this. This is my goal. This is my purpose. This is what I'm doing for the rest of my life so that I can be there for my children, be there for my grandchildren, be there for everything in my life. Be able to enjoy at 100 everything that I do every day in my life. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you soon.
This site and any information communicated within it are not intended as medical advice. The information herein is not intended as medical care, diagnosis, or treatment of any medical condition. No component of this content, including discussion or comments, shall be construed or implied as establishing a doctor-patient relationship. Before you translate or copy any of the information, diet, exercise, or products utilized herein or on any social media post to your own practice, consult your own research, physician, therapist, or nutritionist for your own health. No warranties or claims are made as to the benefits or risks of any treatments, diet, exercise, or products herein. Research any treatments, diet, exercise, or products thoroughly before trying for yourself. Referral, affiliate, or advertising fees may be garnered by this site.